What's happening, most amazing, and welcome back. I'm Taylor McWaters, you're you, let's do this. Here are the top 10 scary doors that have been locked for hundreds of years until right now. Let's take a peek. Number 10, Alexander the Great's friend. Okay, we didn't find Alexander the Great yet, but we did find the tomb of somebody close to him. That's pretty exciting. We're getting close. That's definitely a good first step. Back in 2012, over in Greece, archaeologists discovered a tomb that of course dates back to the time of Alexander himself. Now this tomb, the Costa tomb, as they're referring to it as, is beautiful. It's covered in beautiful painted scenes depicting ancient Greek mythology. It's wonderful. Whoever was buried here got a mosaic, so they must have been quite important. If you get pillars after death, you must have been a leader in some way, shape, or form. Since the tomb was open, researchers have found 5 bodies, all important figures in history, but none are confirmed to be that of Alexander the Great. Just, you know, close acquaintances. That's not bad. Number 9, Queen Nearit. Just over a year ago, the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities announced the discovery of Queen Nearit, aka the wife of King Teti, aka the first pharaoh of Egypt's 6th dynasty. They found her burial shaft and there were coffins, mummy artifacts, all dating back to the New Kingdom, meaning that the Saqqara necropolis was used in the late period, but now apparently it was also used in the New Kingdom as well. That's news to all of us here, you know, in this decade. Perhaps the most questionable find was that of a 4-meter long scroll. That was the 17th chapter of the Book of the Dead. Yeah, let's not touch that maybe. I don't know, just an idea off the top of my head. As well as funerary masks, miniature boats, and 50 coffins, this thing was fully loaded. Again, this is the first time 3,000-year-old coffins were found in the Saqqara necropolis, and there's probably a lot more. Number 8, necklace from the Egyptian Afterlife. We're all curious what happens after you die, but nobody celebrates the end of your days like ancient Egyptians. Like I mentioned earlier, they would paint doors, sometimes they would leave valuables. It's all sacred and beautiful. And of course, any new tomb that we discover provides more hints as to what lies beyond. Maybe. An ancient necropolis was discovered a few years ago in Egypt. It contains dozens of coffins and a necklace that holds a message from the afterlife. Yeah, let's grab that, I guess. Let's take a peek. That's getting cursed 101, I guess. This site is around 2,000 years old, and right now they're in the process of excavating it as we speak. But so far, the tombs and the artifacts found belong to an ancient priestess. A message from the afterlife is pretty spectacular. How far do we need to go before we get cursed? You know what I mean? Let's just let people rest. Just kind of stop opening these tomb doors, perhaps. Number 7, Poland double tomb. All right, time to get cozy for this one. Grab a friend, I guess. All around the world, there have been only a handful of 2-person tombs discovered, and it's exactly what you think it looks like. This is the only one that's found in Poland. Back in 2015, archaeologists discovered this 2,000-year-old necropolis that had been sitting there for centuries just at peace until we came along. Now we're like, hey, wake up, what's going on? Is that a jewel? Nice. Message from the dead? Sweet. All mine now. Now we gotta open things up and lick rocks, whatever geologists do, I don't know. And lo and behold, there were around 120 tombs discovered in total. That's a lot of souls, a lot of curses. They were all used from the 1st century to the 3rd. Now among these 120 tombs were a 2-in-1 rather, that stood out. A tomb that archaeologists referred to as princely. The pre-wars culture in Kujawi were in fact Celtic, so their burial process was Celtic as well. Now it's a little odd of a find. A Stone Age Celtic necropolis in Poland. You're like, where do I even begin? What year is this? Where do I start? Number 6, Celtic warrior shield. And another recent find, here we go. This one was referred to as the most important British Celtic art object of the millennium. So not a bad title if you ask me. A little wordy, but you earned it. An Iron Age chariot burial was discovered in Yorkshire a few years ago, and researchers were excavating a house development in Pocklington, and then all of a sudden they find a soldier's tomb. Awesome. Can we go home today? I think we're done for the day. Let's call it. The soldier was laid on a chariot with the Celtic shield laid over top. Now this shield was also dated back to 175 BC. Yeah, a lot to unpack right here. I mean, first of all, most Iron Age shields up until this point didn't have a scalloped edge, but for some reason this one here did. Up until this point, we thought metal shields were only used for ceremony, but this one's been used, repaired, and then used again in battle. There are clear sword marks, each that tell a story. Yeah, let's just go poke around a Celtic warrior tomb. What could possibly go wrong? Number 5, the sitting man. Okay, of all the tombs to find, all the doors to open, these legendary age-old necropolises, this one would scare the shit out of me, I think, probably the most. Back in 2005, researchers found a Mayan tomb in Honduras dating to around 650 AD, and the body was in a chair, and it was sitting up. That's horrifying. I would have ran out of that tomb so fast if that's the first thing that I saw. This man was an elite member of the Mayan Empire. He passed away around 650 AD, and his legs were crossed, and he was rocking jade jewelry sitting up. It's beautiful, haunting, definitely, like what the but also beautiful, sure. The tomb also had to be positioned upright. Now these types of tombs are quite rare to find, but the fact that this one also has somebody sitting cross-legged, double rare. Hit that thumbs up for double rare. Would you ever walk into a tomb? Like, would you ever do this as a job? Open these ancient doors and just find anything? Sound off below. This is a terrifying job. Number 4, Paris Catacombs. These catacombs date back to the late 1700s and they're literally full of bones. So it's no surprise that some entrances and compartments have been blocked off, hopefully, ideally forever. The catacombs history is pretty twisted. When the city's cemeteries were filling up back in the 1700s, and I mean that in a literal sense, filling up piles of bodies, officials began moving contents all over the city to these, abandoned mines. Then the catacombs were opened in 1809. What a fun family excursion that must have been. Awesome. They designed the catacombs with the walls of skulls to ensure that visitors would meditate on death once they arrived. Gotta say, I think they nailed it. I think they pretty much nailed that mark. We're all gonna think of death when we look at a wall of skulls. I'm sure everybody who visits thinks of nothing else. In order to ensure that this was the vibe of the room, there's a phrase carved above the entrance, and it translates to, "Stop, this is the empire of the dead." Awesome, say no more, I'll be on my merry way. Cheers. I'm like, entrance of the dead. No, it's not the exit, we're good, it's this way. Number 3. 86 tortoises, not 85, 86, we counted. Back in 2005 in northern Israel, a tomb of a shaman, who we believe was a 45-year-old woman at the time of her passing, was found in a cave. Again, I imagine this was a quite jarring discovery. Just like, there were the remains of 28 others as well. So again, it was a beautiful cave tomb. She had a 6-stage burial, it seems. There were beautiful decorations, but something that really stood out, aside from the 28 others and the, beautiful tomb, were the 86 tortoise bodies lying around. Signs of an epic feast from many, many moons ago. That's a odd image to walk into. Whoever this woman was, there was one hell of a party at the end of her days. Everyone's eating tortoises like crazy. On one hand though, imagine finding the shells of 86 ancient tortoises. Tortoisei? That's jarring. I'd be like, Mario, what did you do? What happened in this cave? Number 2, Newgrange. Or Newgrange. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. Here we go. Heading over to the beautiful Ireland for this one. Newgrange is this massive circular tomb. It's an ancient mound protruding from the earth. Now the tomb is roughly 5,200 years old, meaning that this passage tomb in the Boyne Valley is older than Stonehenge and the Great Pyramids of Giza. Stone Age farmers built this mound. It's 85 meters in diameter and 13 meters high, and a tomb that takes up an acre of space. What's going on inside? Don't we want to know? The passage and main chamber just happened to align with the rising sun on the mornings around the winter solstice. So that's pretty spectacular. That's some great planning. And if that's not fancy enough for you, the tomb is also surrounded in a ring of large curbstones. There's 97 curbstones that surround Newgrange, some even engraved in megalithic art. One probably says Todd was here, and you're like, people suck, really? And finally, number 1, the Terracotta Army. The tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, aka China's first emperor. Now in this tomb, we can find 8,000 statues, that's a lot of statues, but they all have unique carvings on their face, as if to suggest these are all custom made for each soldier, all 8,000. This is a very personal tomb. You're literally disturbing the dead on a level next to unheard of. 8,000 souls are trying to rest, and we're out here trying to find treasure, or another Brendan Fraser mummy plot, I don't know. The emperor believed that after he had passed away, he would have to face off against the spirit of his enemies once again after death, so he wanted to be prepared even after life was over. So the emperor decided one day to close the tomb before the workers even had a chance to get out, because he was paranoid that his enemies had already found out about this tomb. Cursed? Yeah, I would say so. Let's just shut this tomb forever and call it a day. Maybe, hopefully, I don't know. Those are the top 10 scariest doors that have been locked for hundreds of years until now. Let's stop looking in places, shall we? I don't know. Let's let the dead rest for another thousands of years. Call me old-fashioned. I'm Taylor McWaters, you're you, and we'll see you next time on Most Amazing Top 10. Peace.